I tried forging a snake into this blade using powdered steel, and I honestly didn't know if it would work. But after the etch, this is what showed up. Here's how I made it. Alright, so I've got these two pieces of 1084. I've ground these notches. My plan is to put this in the can this way. So I'm going to try and get some pure nickel powder into these grooves. And then when it's in the can, I'll fill up the center portion here with 15 and 20 powder. So when I forge my can, I'll try and concentrate my blows this way, so it kind of makes like a sandwich with that powdered steel in between. And then when I forge my knife, I'll forge down this way. So I'm trying to achieve is something like this, where this is the darker steel. This is going to be a dagger. And then in the center, I have the brighter 15 and 20 and nickel. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm going to give it a shot. So here's this knife after forging and coming off of the surface grinder. I did forge something of a tang here, but I didn't really do much forging on the blade. That's because I'm not sure what the pattern is going to look like, how it's going to be oriented on the blade. So that was the main reason for running it over the surface grinder, is so I can etch this and see exactly where my pattern is. And then I can have a better idea of what kind of blade shape I want to try and get out of it. So I'm going to etch it, and then I'll go through some normalization and annealing and do the profiling on it. So let's go do that now. All right, so I've got this normalized and annealed surface ground down to about 145 thousandths on the thickness. Unfortunately, on this knife, I'm not going to get perfect symmetry on this pattern on both sides. And the reason is because when I forged this down, it rolled on me a little bit, and I ended up with more of a rhombus cross section than a rectangle. So you can see that pattern runs, instead of running straight across, it runs at an angle because it slid over a little bit. So what I've basically done is split the difference. So at least I'll try and have both sides look similar, but the pattern isn't going to run directly down the center of the dagger. So I've got the tang softened up, got the shoulders filed down to where they're even, and I've got the tang tapered slightly over 1/8 of an inch on the thickness. Mark my center line on both sides here, and I can start grinding in the bevels. So this is coming off the 36 grit belt. It's not quite perfect, but it's not terrible. So I'm going to move up to 120 grit belt, try and get these 36 grit scratches out and refine these grind a little bit. So I've got the bevels ground in, best I could do anyway. Now it's time to etch the logo, and I'm just using my DC power supply. I've got it set on 12 volts, continuous voltage. And for this, what I usually do is take a cotton ball, that on the negative end of the lead, attach the positive end of the lead to the knife. This is just salt water, table salt, about maybe a teaspoon mixed with just a little bit of water in a cup. And I've got my mask made from the Cricut machine with some masking tape to keep the electrolyte off the rest of the blade. I don't know how well it's going to etch with that nickel in the steel. Never done one of these before where I used pure nickel. So it'll be interesting to see how the etching turns out with that nickel in there. Yeah, you can definitely see that little nickel streak running through there. It's kind of cool actually. And that should do it. Looks like that ought to be pretty good. Now for the next step, I think I'll get the blade all cleaned up and we'll do the etch in ferric chloride. Put in the ferric chloride about 2 minutes. Take it out, see what it looks like. Mixture of baking soda and water neutralizes the ferric chloride. So this is Flit's metal polish. Put a little bit of this on each side. Rub that in with a little microfiber cloth. And that'll take some of the oxides off and kind of polish up that etch a little bit. Almost exactly how I wanted it to turn out. It's pretty close.
Honey,
Yeah.
can you just help Mason for a minute?
Help Mason?
Help Mason help me for a minute.